I'll try to talk over the music here. I don't know whether to dance or start karaoke or what's going on. Can you guys all hear me? Yeah. Okay. So anyways, let me tell you a little bit about what's going on in your city, give you a rundown. Most of you are aware that Stockton was the largest city to go into bankruptcy in 2012, and we had extremely low employee morale. We also led the nation in foreclosures, and basically anything bad or negative that could happen to a city happened right here in Stockton. And people were ripping gold chains off of people's necks at Victory Park. There was a lot of concerns with the animal shelter, that too many animals were being euthanized, and there wasn't a lot of adoptions taking place. People had concerns with the water, and it was just a really tough time. So I look at it as kind of like the family. Everyone has a family at home, and when you have a family, sometimes things happen, and the family gets into a crunch, a rough patch, and maybe someone loses a job, maybe there's a death of a loved one in the family, and so the entire family struggles. And that's how I look at what happened to Stockton. With all the stuff happening at one time, it was really a recipe for disaster. And all that stuff happened at the same time as the city sort of decided they were going to reinvest in downtown, which was a good idea, it's a good concept. But they weren't quite sure how they were going to repay these debt obligations. So we built an arena for $40 million. We built a ballpark. We enhanced the waterfront just a little bit. And really the city didn't have the money to pay these things because the property values were down. The property taxes were going down. So they assumed that things were going to keep going up, right? Back in the day, and that turned out to be incorrect, and the national economy took their toll across the country, and so we felt it here. We felt those waves here in Stockton. So a lot of people locally lost money. They lost money in the stock market. So it even has a little Space Needle type of thing, except in Stockton it would be a big asparagus observation tower to look out downtown. You can eat, you can grab something to drink, or you can eat some snacks. And it has a beach for kids, because as of right now, they have no plan to make that waterfront desirable. And right now, it's not family entertainment friendly for kids to go swimming in that stuff. It smells so bad, it's unbelievable right now. So we'll talk about that in a minute too. The Miracle Mile is of interest to me because you always in every city need somewhere that's vintage, and the Miracle Mile should be doused with lights, cobblestone streets, and a place where there's special zoning permits so people can take beer and wine, plastic cups, and walk down the street and shop at nighttime. So that's what we want to also invest in some of these areas. So when it comes to crime, this is the way I look at it. In 2010, 11, they were averaging like 50, 60 homicides a year, okay? In 2012, there were 71 homicides, okay? As a couple weeks ago, we already had something like 25 homicides. That's a lot. It's a lot of funerals for me to go to, but it's nothing like it used to be. It's nothing like it used to be. So here's my plan. Number one, you inundate the city, the areas, with places for people that take their kids that can't afford to take their kids anymore. Kids that are poor can't afford to go to Chuck E. Cheese. You give them $5 to work the tokens, they come back, 20 seconds later and they're like, more, right? And the games have like snot and sneeze all over anyways. It's not the greatest thing. People can't afford it. We had John's Incredible Pizza. We had Naughty Nick's. We had Golf Club. We had Armor Skate. We had things. Those are all CVS's now and Rite Aids. We got to get back to getting some of those family entertainments here. But these would be drop-off centers for families to bring their kids to that have basics, pool tables, shuffleboards, video games, things like that, and tutoring, right? This is the most important part. These police annexes, I call them, or substations, are something that we need in all the hotspot areas of Stockton. So if I was to look at crime statistics and I look at the red areas, guess what? I don't have to have you guys guess where the crime takes place. You're gonna already know the neighborhoods where the crime takes place if you live here. You're gonna be Kelly Drive, Kentville, Sierra Vista, Conway, 8th Street, 10th Street, Airport Way, Wilson Way. You already know. If we already know day after day, week after week where the crime is going to occur, stop trying to be reactive. Stop trying to wait for 911 and to send officers around and yada, yada, yada. I don't have time for that. That's where we differ. The people that drive into the city, that manage it, that argue with me, that go and try to get buddy-buddy with the council members so they can veto me. I know where the crime is. I will put a police presence in those neighborhoods, just like they do in other countries. They put them right in the middle of the neighborhoods. We don't need a building. I don't believe in fancy buildings. There's plenty of vacant storefronts that you've seen. There's plenty of homes that have just been sitting there forever in some of these dilapidated neighborhoods where we could put a police annex in and staff it with a community service officer. And that's what I want to do, attack the crime head on. And the next thing is this. I think for anybody that's ever studied history, if you studied war, one soldier that's protecting their own village or their own country fights much, much harder and takes it much, much serious than a hired mercenary. Okay? I support the police. Okay? I support the law enforcement. But I support them more when they live here. And if you're going to make $100,000 a year, $150,000 a year with overtime, I would like those people to have a vested interest in Stockton. Now, you can't require them to live here. Once upon a time, they did. You can't require police officers to live here, but what you can do is say, listen, we got to hire 50 more officers. There is young men and women graduating from Franklin and Edison and Stagg and Lincoln and Tokay and Bear Creek. Why can't we hire these folks and get them in a training program? They haven't committed any crimes yet, right? They should be able to pass the lie detector test. Why do we always have to go elsewhere to get our police to show up here and then patrol Stockton like it's a prison and then go home? If you go to a neighborhood, certain neighborhoods in Stockton, the police is a bad word. You guys understand that, right? You understand that's a bad word in certain neighborhoods. Because we have to make people fall back in love with the police department. Just like people love the fire department, we must get them to fall back in love with them. How we do that is we hire from within their own neighborhoods. So if you're from Sierra Vista on Bellevue and 10th Street, and the police come down right now, the little kid runs to the house and say, Mom, it's the popo here, it's the popo here. She says, oh, quick, get inside the house, quick, finish your stuff. They're probably looking for your dad. It's a different life, right? But imagine they're like, oh, no, that's Tyrone, he grew up here, he's one of us. We can go talk to Tyrone. We have to give local heroes. That's what I should read in newspapers, not a bunch of BS. I should see billboards and commercials about kids that had a tough life and they managed to graduate high school and they became police officers, they became firefighters, they became wastewater 1 operators for the city. The city is one of the biggest employers in the county. They should be hiring people that live here, not people that live elsewhere. So the police is a big thing. I believe in free money. City doesn't understand that yet, okay? Because it doesn't benefit them yet to think of outside of the box ideas to generate revenue. We have plenty of vacant land everywhere. Stockton even owns land in Arnold, California. Do you guys know that? You don't know that, right? Nobody knows that. It's just sitting there. It's been sitting there for years. Why not make it a solar farm? Why not make it a retreat and conference center? Do something to create revenue. Now, back in the day, when they built the arena and the marina and the ballpark, they assumed that they were going to make millions and millions of dollars off of people coming. Do you guys have any friends that own a boat that's down at the marina? They're paying $700 a month at the boat slip. Do you guys know anybody?
I met them.
You met one once. Okay. 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 But down at the city boat slips? No. So there's a reason we got to figure out how do we get people down there. Because if you read the research, when they talk to those boat owners, they're like, we would love to have boat slips down here, but we need a fully covered boat slip, and we need a gas station down here with a little store so people have a reason to bring their vote down here. We never gave them that reason. So we never fulfilled that project. We're not making money. The arena. Disney on Ice is cool. Carrie Underwood is great. It's the one event that's full. Vicente Fernandez used to be full. How many days out of the year do you think the Stockton Arena is empty?
A lot.
207 days out of the year it's empty. But guess what? There's a boatload of people that are getting paid to work down there. They get paid the same whether there's things going on 365 days of the year or only 100 days of the year. Ask yourself why. Because somebody's getting paid with a very good, elaborate contract. That's the type of stuff that cities do that you guys got to pay attention to. So anyways, I have a plan for each area of Stockton, what they need, upgrades, police, all that kind of stuff. So now that we've put out the flames, you know, we've put out the fires of bankruptcy, the sky is falling, you know, the city's going under. Now it's time to concentrate on quality of life. This entire city should have free Wi-Fi everywhere I go. I should never have to walk into a building anymore in this day and age and say, hey, can I get your Wi-Fi password? That's silly. This entire city should have free Wi-Fi. The second thing is, I led the initiative to pass the Animal Bill of Rights. Because what happens at 5 p.m. on a weeknight or a weekend? The city pound is closed. So a dog gets hit by a car or somebody shoots a dog under the jurisdiction. Whose jurisdiction is Animal Services under right now in the city? The police. Do you think that animals are a priority to the police department?
Nope.
No. Most of the time they'll tell us to fill out a police report online, right? So we need to get that under another department. But for now, what happens after 5 is these animals, you would call them and say, we feel really bad, leave the animal on the side of the gutter. That is a very inhumane thing to do, okay? So we passed a basic Bill of Rights for animals, protecting them, and basically saying that they need to be taken to a clinic, and if the animal can be saved, we'll save the animal, and if it can't be saved, it will be put to sleep. So these are the type of things that we fought for. I call it quality of life. Graffiti and trash is a big thing. Everyone in this city sees these big trash piles they have out. And now it's on March Lane, right? It's on Hammer Lane, it's everywhere, right? It's getting closer and closer to Trinity Parkway and Spanos Park and Brookside. And once it gets there, then those people will be in an uproar and then it will be all over the place. But it's making its way there. People have to be held responsible for these trash piles, but we have to have a better contract with Waste Management as we get this stuff picked up on a weekly basis. Brings me to my next point. And actually, Steve, can I get a Coke? Make sure it's a Coke so everyone knows here I'm not drinking. Okay? I'm not drinking Coke. So, where was I? Okay, so before I get to the homeless here, okay, here's the deal. In Stockton, we have a lot of people that are looking for a second chance in life. Maybe they've been convicted of a low-level crime, drug charges, whatever, okay? So they come back to Stockton, and everyone says, well, we believe in second chances. And then these people apply for a job. Did they get hired? No. It's hard enough. It's hard enough for normal, everyday folks to get a job, okay? It's hard for normal, everyday folks to get a job. It's even harder if you've been convicted of a crime and you have a felony or something on your record. So what I suggest is, as these people are being released from prison, they come from Stockton, let's just be honest with ourselves and say, listen, we know they can't get a job at a school, they can't get a job at a senior center, there's only so many jobs they can do. Let's actually help them not recommit a crime, right? Because all these statisticians, these crime people, will sit there and say, well, you know, it's just a matter of time before Billy reoffends. It's almost like they're just saying it's going to happen. And And what happens is this. They go home, they've been home for a couple days or a week, and their significant other gets on them, right? The wife's like, what are you doing with your life? I've been taking care of these kids while you've been gone, I'm having to support them. Get a job, do something, help me, you're lazy. And so then the guy feels all like, you know, he feels like he has no control of his life, that he's a loser, and then what happens? He goes out and he commits another crime. So what I suggest is the city has a pilot program. So when these folks are released from prison, we give them job experience for at least 6 months where they work for the city. And that's on their resume they can put there. And that's a good reference to have on your resume, the city. And they can clean up trash, they can clean up trash piles, they can clean up graffiti, and they can help me catalog the homeless. There's plenty of things they can do. So that's what I suggest. So the last thing, quality of life, is homeless. The experts in the world, that say they're experts, will say that there's about 1,700 homeless in Stockton, and out of the 1,700, there's 286 or somewhere like that are actually on the streets. So there's basically 300 homeless on the streets of Stockton. Does anyone believe that's all the homeless that are on the streets of Stockton, 300? Because that would just be incorrect, right? Drive around anywhere. So what's going to happen is a couple things. First off, we can pay more money now, or we can pay more money later. If we pay more money now and say, let's get them into some housing, so housing first, but that has running water and toilet paper so they can wash their hands, thank you, and they can go to the bathroom like a human being. It's a Coke, okay?
Coca-Cola, folks.
That's a lot better than these tent cities. So on the 23rd, which is next week already, there's going to be big city council debates, right? And my opposition will be out there saying, yay, tent cities, yay, tent cities. And listen, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. But if you just get plots of land and you say, okay, homeless folks, you can go on this plots of land, that's like what we're doing now by letting them be under the Highway 4 bridge. What are they doing under there? They're cooking. They're creating fires, and the police and the fire department's going out there. What else are they doing? They're going number 1 and they're going number 2. They're defecating and they're urinating on our streets, and worse, they're also doing it in the water. That is a health and safety hazard for all of you. You should all be able to sue, because people are putting your life and your families in danger by allowing this to happen. So my plan is simple. The sheriff has an idea where he's willing to take the people that don't want any help. That means someone that says, listen, I'm homeless, but I don't care what you say. I don't want drug or alcohol abuse counseling. I don't want mental health counseling. I don't need it. I don't want to be in a program. I don't want to volunteer cleaning up trash. I just want to do what I want to do, and that's it. Tough. He has a place in the Honor Farm, the former Honor Farm, where he's willing to take some of these folks. So I'm just learning about that, and that's a good thing. I'm willing to sponsor a program, working with Shirley here, who's a local business owner. We're actually going to put 100 up into a motel. They just can't be in the motel without a lot of rules. Number 1, they have to volunteer and give back to the city. Okay? Number 2, they have to be just like other shelter rules. They got to be in their rooms at a certain time. But that's a lot easier, giving them a place that already has toilets, than a plot of land where now we're going to have to bring in portable showers, bring in portable restrooms, and that's a mess. I know, because I've been putting porta potties out there before for the homeless. I've spent the night alongside the homeless a few times, and it's a very, very different life. There's things that we don't even think about. Out there under the streets, under the bridges, even the cockroaches are tough. Okay? When I was sleeping out there, the cockroaches would march right up to me, climb up on my box, and just sit over my head. And I would flick them out, and then it would do it again. They'd walk back up and do the same thing like they didn't care. They're tough. The cats out there were tough. They had a lookout cat, right? They would look out for people, and the other ones would rip through bags of clothes and food and go in there. It's the craziest thing, watching feral cats. So it's like a new world. There's another world parallel to ours under the freeways. And that's the truth. And bureaucrats with ties and four-piece suits and politicians that come and go every 4 years, they're never going to understand this. They're never going to grasp it. But the truth is, we're all like 10 steps away from being homeless ourselves. Something could happen to us right now where we lose our jobs, or we lose the means to support our families. And there's been times where you guys have missed your rent payment maybe. You've been late on a mortgage or a rent payment, your car payment. Think about that times 10. That can happen. So I think, before whatever religion you believe in, but when I die and I go to heaven and whoever says, hey Anthony, what did you do with the tools that I give you? Did you help the less fortunate? I want to be able to say, yes, I tried. I don't want to be able to say, actually, no, I'm sorry, there was a lot of bureaucracy and they had red tape and I really couldn't help them and blah, 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 blah. That's an excuse. That's all it is an excuse. So right now, Stockton is at a place, our values are up. It's a lot of positive things. Your property taxes are up. We have more money than ever before. Our sales taxes are up because we have more money than ever before. People are spending money and our expenditures are down. That is a formula for success. But the question is, where is the city going to go now? Where do we go now? Is it time that Western Ranch gets their Walmart and gets their Starbucks and they start getting more stuff out there? Right now it's blocked because there's a Food for Less. And the Food for Less people donate money to council members' campaigns. You think that doesn't mean anything? That means, no, no, no. Don't let another grocery store go out there. Politics suck. And I'll always be honest with you guys. I know a lot of people out there, they hate me, they don't like me, they don't understand me, but I'm always going to tell you the truth. The bottom line is, the reason why people don't like politicians is because they're all full of shit. And that's the truth. This government here we have here, even in this county, even in this city, is not a democracy. It is not ruled by you guys. You guys just don't get together and say, I want this person elected mayor, and then now that's our choice. Now let's roll things out. It's not how life works. We have something here called an oligarchy, which means we are ruled by the elite few with a lot of money. It's about 2% of Stockton. There's a couple families involved, and they control Stockton. If they don't like how things are going, they will let you know. They will let you know. Follow the money. Follow the money trail. And they're very good at hiding money nowadays. So politicians will get them $10,000 and it will come from this PAC, Political Action Committee, taxpayers for Stockton's good government. It will have some fancy name, and you dig around in it and you can really figure out where the money came from, right? Money is the key. Money controls the politicians. The only thing else that ever trumps politicians is a crowd full of people. That is the only thing that can trump a politician. If you ever fill a building with 200 or 300 people, that's the only time they're scared and nervous. Other than that, they don't care. Because their political advisor is whispering in their ears, yes, there's 50 people here at the city council meeting, but there's 299,000 people in Stockton, and they're not here, which means they're for you, and they want you to do this, okay? Have I made mistakes before? I certainly have. Am I human? Yes, I am, okay? I haven't had all my finest moments in the last 4 years, okay? But you have to ask yourself this. Do you think people ever wanted me to be mayor of this city? And if they didn't, when I was elected, right after I was elected, they already announced another candidate 4 years in advance. And all of a sudden that guy got funded $150,000 4 years in advance to run from me. That person now, ask yourself where he is. He's now made himself the tax, what is he? He's a county tax assessor of the county. He resigned as a county supervisor, and then his colleagues voted him into that position. You don't think there's politics going on here? And so now they have another candidate to run against me. The truth is, a lot of pure good people, they don't run for politics. You know why? I spent a whole year trying to get people to run for mayor, and every single time I tried, they would ask the same questions, the couples. They'd be like, honestly, Anthony, we're considering this, but my wife and I, we've had breaks. Do you think people might find out about our breaks and who we were with? And I'm like, honestly, the Stockton record? Because they're part of the old guard. That's a control mechanism for these people. I said, hell yeah, they're gonna know. that say, Mayor, we had a bankruptcy once, you know, about 7 years ago. Do you think that the people are going to find out? I go, yeah. What about our credit? Our credit's a little shaky. Yeah. And so one by one, those people said, maybe it's not for us. It's not for us. And so good people don't run. Tony Finnegan, I would love for him to be on the city council. He'd make a great city councilman because he'd be fighting for business owners. I'd love for him to be there. The best people always don't win these elections though, because it takes money, okay? It takes a huge network, okay? My headquarters that I used to have on my own, right? I packed it up for the summer because everyone knows summer's my time. That's the one time I get to be a big kid again, go have some fun, you know, get swimming pools open. That's my thing. I looked at my headquarters now, and it's the Democratic Central Committee took it over when I was gone, right? Think that's not a conspiracy? So all I'm saying is, for me personally, so you guys know, I'm somebody that believes in people. I don't believe in fancy buildings. I grew up on Kelly Drive in Stockton. My mom was a single nurse. She was attacked at Delta College as a single nurse. She got together with the guy who became my stepfather. It wasn't the greatest childhood for me. I ran away a few times. I've struggled most of my life. But you know what? I'm a product of Stockton. Most of you guys have struggled most of your life too. I graduated from Lincoln. I graduated from Delta College. My first day at Delta, my mom passed away. It's the hardest day of my life. The second hardest day of my life was last Thursday, when I was paraded through a media storm and a big production that was planned. It's all going to come out very, very shortly here. But life goes on. We've all had our knocks here in Stockton. And there's plenty of haters. You guys all have haters, and you're not even the mayor. You're not even the council member, and you guys have haters. People that don't like you, they don't even know you. That's the way the world is. And so I've had to accept that I cannot make 315,000, because I count the homeless people too. I can't make 315,000 people happy at all times. But I can be there to truly, truly fight for them. And when they need a letter of recommendation, I'm there. When they need a place to stay, I find them a place to stay. Okay? That's what Stockton is about. And we're at a crossroads. And what it's about is, I mean, Brandon, who is one of my nephews, I picked him up from Roseville yesterday, and he goes, you know what this all sounds like? As crazy as it sounds like? What did you say it sounded like?
What's that?
When you were talking about the story.
Oh, Star Wars?
He said this sounds like exactly like Star Wars, right? I go away for 5 days at a summer camp, and I'm being smacked when I'm there because they know I can't respond. Mayor has a missing gun. Missing gun used in a crime, allegedly. Really? Have you guys ever heard of anyone else's name ever being released for losing a knife or a gun and then it being used in a crime? Have you ever heard that your neighbor Todd or your neighbor Betty lost something and someone used it for something? And meanwhile, they say they caught the people that robbed my house, but they didn't give me anything back. Where's my refrigerator? Where's my bedspread? Can I get my pillowcases back? Where's my stuff? Why wouldn't they tell me? Okay? Some people will say, there's just too many things around this guy. There's like a cloud over him. Too much weird shit happens to him. He's in a bathrobe putting his signs up at 2 a.m. Yes, I was. Right? It's raining. It's at 2 a.m. I got a towel in the trunk and a bathrobe. So I throw the bathrobe on. There's no cars in downtown Stockton at 2 a.m. And yet, chick, someone gets a picture, goes straight to the record. You don't think someone's following me?
That bathrobe was over your
clothes? Yeah. The bathrobe's over my clothes. There's basketball shorts on too. And that somehow, this is how they do it. The Record wants to not just report news, but they want to create it. And so how they create it is they put something really sexy in the newspaper, try to create a frontline title. If that title gets picked up the next day by KCRA 3, KOVR 13, News 10, if they pick it up, now they do the story. Once they do the same story, now the Associated Press in San Francisco, who writes the stories that go out to the Washington Post and the New York Times, they pick it up. So the Record tries so hard to create these stories that will get out to the rest of the country. They create half of the drama in this town. They are a cancer that needs to go away. And so if it's my last dying breath, even if they take me out as mayor, you know, I will fight to have them removed from this city, because they are a cancer in this city. There is plenty of good news out there in the streets. There's plenty of business owners that came here with nothing. There's plenty of you guys that have people haven't handed you stuff with a silver spoon, and you've managed to become good parents. You've managed to struggle and have a good life. Those are the stories I want to hear about my city. I don't want to hear about this BS and this garbage. And that's really what it's about. So you have to ask yourself, is everything you read and see true? Or do you think a lot of times it's propaganda? It's the media sensationalizing things. So let me take some of your questions that you guys might have. Sometimes people ask me about the chloramines thing in the water as well. So you want to turn your camera and you get the asking questions? Sure.
So one of the big things I noticed, I'm noticing on Facebook, and I noticed that a lot of stuff you do is like you go out and do like beautification things and like sell stuff. A lot of the times though, I don't think a lot of people know that that's going on. So what's something that we could do to like get more people involved and stuff like that?
You know, Stockton Rocks is a great example of a website, of a Facebook social media network that talks about the positive things happening in Stockton. And that readership is like more than the Record. The Record is only like 26,000, and not even count all the little newspaper things they have in our little neighborhoods where no one actually goes in there and grabs it. Stockton Rocks promotes things. What we need is a version of Stockton Rocks, like you said, that actually talks about things before they happen. Like for instance, I'm about to post Western Ranch is going to have a canned food drive, and they're having a fundraiser for backpacks and stuff. And I have the poster, I have their pictures, but I don't have the date. So I had to like text, hey, you know, no one ever gave me the date, so how can I promote it? So you're exactly right. We need to toot our own horn. Stockton doesn't do that, by the way. And last year it's supposed to be in the budget of $100,000 to market our own city. Other cities have money to market their cities, like Sacramento, right? Like we're the city of trees, we have the Sacramento Kings, yada, yada, yada. What do you hear Stockton do? Not real much, okay? Visit Stockton did a campaign, and it was Stockton full of flavor. And so they did that for a while, and they spent some money on doing it, and they got some consultants. And I support it, I support them. But we need more of that. So you're exactly right. We need a one-stop place, almost like an app, you know.
Or even if it was like some social media or business newspapers or something.
Well, that's what you get to help me do now. You get to help me create this site. But you're right. We need to get people involved. A lot of people say, what can I do to help? I'll pick up trash. I'll go help with the homeless. You know, whatever. In the summer, there's all these cooling centers people didn't know about, where we could be taking people and getting them to cooling centers. In the winter, it's freezing. You know, so I spent Thanksgiving and Christmas picking up homeless folks and bringing them to a warehouse that a local business guy, he turned their heaters on, they could stay there. And that was great and everything, but it's like, in this day and age, we still have to do that. We just can't find a place to put them, you know, to put kids on Christmas. They have to be in a warehouse. There's not a little motel or hotel. This Stockton is full of places that are vacant. If people really wanted to do things, they could do it, you know? So all these problems that they talk about, they're just obstacles. And sometimes somebody will say, well, Mayor, we can't do this because of A, B, and C. And I go, really? Well, who made A, B, and C? And they go, well, you know, the bureaucracy, we did. I go, great. But now you work for the city. So now you're A, B, and C. So let's get rid of it. And let's just help people. You say there's not enough Asian police officers and African American police officers, right? And Hispanic police officers. So let's go hire them. Well, you know, it's just harder than that. You know, they haven't passed the lie detector test, and then they got to go through this program for a year, and that yada yada. But it's easier if we go to this Alameda County, we can get them there. And I don't get that. You got to go to Howard School. You got to go to all these colleges to get African Americans to be officers. There's plenty right here in Stockton. I'd rather have them come from here. You know what a lot of this stuff is? It's excuses. Because if you're paid a set salary, you make the same money every single month, whether you come up with a new project or not. Does that make sense? So there's no it doesn't behoove them. So when I show them pictures of the waterfront, I'm all, imagine people riding their bike over the bridges. It's lighted up downtown. There's no panhandlers or beggars. You get the Howard Johnson all lit up and fixed up, and people are down there, and there's different bands. Just like we're walking down a beach, we're walking down a river walk where there's reggae music here, but now there's jazz down here. It can happen. Why can't it happen? It can. If you can do it in other parts of the country, you can do it here too. But people's laziness is why we don't have that stuff. And if we had more of that stuff, the folks that are graduating from college would say, you know what, I'm coming back to Stockton. I'm coming back to my home city. But right now, all I hear is frustration. They're like, man, Mayor, I applied 2 years and I haven't been called back to be a police officer. I even applied to be a Parks and Rec referee. They haven't called me back. Just by you having Stockton, California on your resume, you should at least deserve an interview, as far as I'm concerned. Because this is our city. And if I asked you, who are the city managers, you don't even know. You don't even know who the city managers are. If I said, who's a school superintendent? You do not know. If I say, who's a county administrator? You do not know. But guess what? Those are the 3 most powerful people in our city. They hire everybody. They fire everybody. And never let anyone tell you the bullshit, and I'm going to say bullshit online here, that the city councils and the board of supervisors and the school boards have full power over these people. Because they do, but in this structure of government, they can't exercise that power. If Alex is my school superintendent, okay, and there's 7 school board members, and I want new books in my library at Henry School, and I go to the superintendent and say, hey, I need new books in this library at Henry School. He's going to say, yeah, that's nice. If you want me to do it, I need you to do A, B, and C. And if I don't do what he says, now he's not going to put those new books in that school for me. That's a fact. If I'm on the city council, and you go to the city manager and say, I really like Mayor Silva's homeless initiative. Let's get some homeless off the streets. Let's get a win for Stockton. Get some positive news. Yeah, well, really, I don't like that idea. I thought you wanted LED lights in your neighborhood at North Lake. I thought you wanted some more speed bumps. I thought you wanted more increased police patrols. Don't you want those things? Yeah. Well, guess what? You do A, B, and C, and I'll do it. If you don't, I'm not going to do it. If you don't do what these people say, they will not give you the resources, and you will not get elected, and you will be vanished, and you'll be forgotten about. Name some city managers. You don't know any. But yet they run the city. They control the police. They can put a case on you tomorrow if they want, and now it's your word against theirs.
What other names?
The current one is Kurt Wilson. The last one that used to fight with everyone was Bob Dice.
Current city manager.
Yeah, current city manager.
So you're saying your campaign slogan is "Make Stockton Great Again"? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You know, when I ran the first time, it was restore Stockton. Yeah, when I ran the first time, it was restore Stockton. Now it's just about being the people's mayor. I'm going to continue to be who I'm going to be, and that's up until December 31st. And I always tell people, I fight for people who don't know me. If they call me for help, I'll fight for them. I fight for people who don't like me, even if they talk trash. I fight for people who can't fight for themselves. They get into a bind. Somewhere in the city tonight, somebody's going to get into some type of bind. And they're not going to have anyone to call. And they're going to call these little numbers and get some help, and everyone's not going to have an answer. They end up calling my office. And I will do my best to help those people. Because I have their back, because they're from my city. And this is my city that I grew up in. And it's not an easy thing. But this election is about, who do you want? Do you want somebody who's trying to get to Washington, D.C., who was going to run for Board of Supervisors a couple months ago, and then switched over once his buddy made himself the county assessor? He is the candidate of the elite. He is a rubber stamp that looks like that. Nothing will change. Absolutely nothing will change if he's elected. They have their whole varsity team ready to go. They have their whole slew of candidates ready to go. All my candidates, all the folks that are with me, they're all under attack right now. Do you think that's coincidence? I think not. So it's a matter of what you believe in, okay? Any other questions?
Is that Michael Tusk?
Yes.
Yeah. I do have one question, and you can not answer it if you want to, but how do you feel about Gary Johnson running for president?
Well, I looked him up, and he's your nominee,
Yeah.
and I think that he has a lot of good things to add to the race. You know, he'd probably be a great president. But I mean, the truth is, in our society, is, you know, as of right now, only somebody that has a lot of money can win. And you don't have a lot of money unless you're coming from a major political party. So those are the only ones that are going to have a chance to win, and that's the truth. And it was like this race for mayor. I like Tony Finnegan a lot. I like Carlos Villapua a lot. They're my friends. There's another guy in there that's my friends. They're all my friends. Jimmy Rishwain ran for mayor. He's like 80. They'd all make a great mayor, but it was not realistic that they could win. All they did is stop me from winning in the primary, and now I have to go in the finals. And then once I'm in the finals, now I'm a huge threat. I'm a huge threat to, I call them the hand, the house. I'm a huge threat to the house. And so they're going to do whatever they can to try to put a cloud over me before that time. And that's a fact. But yeah, I like your candidate. I'll just say on record that you never know what to believe these days. You know, they say Hillary Clinton's a criminal. You think the FBI is ever going to arrest Hillary Clinton? Heck no. Not if she's going to become the commander-in-chief and appoint a new director of the FBI, so that would be silly, right? Donald Trump has been funding the Clintons for years, and now all of a sudden he's running. I mean, I think he's an excellent, excellent businessman, but sometimes I question why he says the things that he says when he says them. I keep thinking in the back of my head, maybe he knows what he's doing, but I definitely want to see a good competitive race. But as you guys know, here in California, it's a blue state. Stockton tends to be a little bit more liberal. Lodi is more conservative. You know, there's some conservative areas in Manteca and Tracy. But Stockton has historically been, you know, the majority of it in general elections a little bit liberal. So,
yeah.
And it works the opposite here in politics. So for me, even though I'm the conservative Republican, my support base is poor, middle class, and homeless, and it's minorities. Isn't that interesting? So you would think that the super rich would like me because I'm pro-business and want them to make money. I want them to make money so they hire more people. They hire more people, that's more people shopping at Food for Less and Podestos and here at Finnegan's. They got more money to spend. So you would think that they would naturally support me, but they've had to live to play another day in a blue state, so they back all extremely liberal candidates, and that's how politics play out.
Yeah. I think as far as the presidential race, this is my opinion, not the Libertarian Party's opinion, but the Libertarians aren't going to get California. The Republicans aren't going to get California, right? It's going to, Hillary's got California. So if you vote Libertarian, what you're doing is you're adding to the Libertarian totals. If we get 5% nationally, then we get federal funding as a major political party. And like you said, it's money. It's $10 million next election cycle that could be a game changer. So I mean, we're not going to change the electoral results of California, but we can change the popular vote of California and basically vote against the two-party system and vote for Gary Johnson and raise those numbers. Outside of California, there is a shot of him winning. I mean, he's in some swing states. He's polling really high. I think in Utah, he just polled like 5% behind Trump or something. And I mean, so he's polling really high. There's like a long shot. You know, what is it? There's hell will probably freeze over first, but there is a chance that he could get elected with the electoral, and then secondary to that, if Hillary or Trump do not get the majority of the electoral votes, 270 electoral votes, then the vote goes to the House of Representatives. So then the House of Representatives have between crazy, liar, and then at least the sane Gary Johnson candidate to choose from, and we'll see what they.
And if you think in our country, look how many people we have in the United States, and out of all these people, how are we getting two people that happen to be married? Do we have kings and queens in this? Even the Bushes. That's why would people be president of the United States from the same family when there's just so many people in this country? And so what it's showing you is it's money talks, and these people have these large war chests, and that's why they're able to become a big factor. There's guys like you know, Rand Paul would probably make a good president. He knows the Constitution well. But he just doesn't have the financial resources to be able to compete. So sometimes we have to worry about what we can control. The truth is, here in this room and here in Stockton, we can't control what happens in the rest of the country. But you can control what happens here in Stockton, California. You can decide what newspaper here is going to be here and what newspaper is not. You can decide you know, what you want in the future of your city and what you don't want. And you can definitely, you have the ability to elect city council members, and so when the time comes, if you want recommendations, let me know. Research some of these guys, and I'll tell you, which team they're on, right? Right now, you're either with the rebels or they're with the dark side. That's one of the two. And I'll let you know what team they're on.
So we're assuming you're associating yourself with the rebels.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. So, and obviously, like I mentioned before, the Libertarian Party of San Joaquin County can't endorse you because you're a Republican. But if you decided to change your registration to Libertarian, we could, just saying.
Thought about it. So, well, thank you guys for
thanks for coming out. I appreciate you taking the time.
What's the latest on the water before it rises?
So the city council took action about 2 months ago to raise your water rates, and so it was quite an increase, and so the vote was 5-2. Of course, I voted against it, and the reason I voted against it was
who else voted against it?
Christina Fugazi is your vice mayor, really good, loyal person. She's loyal to the citizens of Stockton. She's a science teacher, so her characteristic is she cannot be bought. She can't. And so anyways, the city basically said a year ago, hey, the rest of the state is reducing their water. We want you to reduce your water too, and it'll save yourself a little bit of money. And so everyone did. All your grass died, right? All your parents' houses, your grandparents, all the grass died, and you reduced the water by 26%. But because of that, the city officials came back and said, whoa, 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 whoa. We kind of forgot about something. We've always anticipated a certain amount of revenue coming in, and since you guys, your people, they call it, didn't use the water, we can't charge them for it now. And I go, yeah, that's a good thing. They save money. They're all, no. Now we need to get that money back. And I go, well, you better come up with a way besides raising taxes. Please tell me there's another way in life to pay for something besides raising taxes, please. Well, we have another idea. We're going to raise fees. And so they raised your fees. But here's my problem with that. Before the city of Stockton went bankrupt, back in 2012, they took $20 million from the Water Enterprise Fund and they moved it to the general fund to help the city keep going and paying bills, and they never repaid that money. So just this past year, we had a surplus of $34 million. So I'm all, if we have a surplus, let's put the $20 million back that we stole in the first place, you guys stole, put it back. Now we don't have to tax the residents. And they just look at me like I'm crazy. Mayor, nobody really even knows about that. I go, yeah, but I do. I also know you guys gave the Stockton Record money and took property by eminent domain so they could have their big infrastructure building on Market Street, and they forgot to pay the money back too. So if you guys can see, I'm sort of in a lot of people's way in life here in Stockton. But the truth is, they shouldn't have raised those rates. And you know what? In April of 2013, they brought a project, like phase 3 of a water project. You guys know our water plant's actually in Lodi. I took Aaron Brockovich out there and everything. So it was a good experience to go out there. It's interesting. But they basically kind of presented it like this is the phase 3 on our water project. It's great for Stockton because Stockton will never run out of water like other cities because we can suck it from the delta and and keep using it, and then when we're done we add chemicals and we put it back in the river better condition than we took it out. So I always think that, what do you mean you better condition? It's like the water hyacinth. I don't believe it. I don't believe that the chemicals you spray on the plants don't do anything to us. I believe it does. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, right? So anyways, they had to add chloramines into your water for North Stockton because there's too much fecal contamination. There's too much fecal matter, right? So there's basically poop in the water. So chlorine by itself won't sanitize that water, so they had to add the ammonia in there with the chlorine, and so they put that in their water. So the EPA says that small amounts of chloramines are not dangerous. And I'm all, that's nice. So I got to trust that some guy somewhere that trusts the water every day is making sure there's only small amounts in, right? Because then people were calling up and saying that there's rashes and stuff like that. So either way, the record is on me because I flip-flopped. Because I said in 2013, you never really talked about the chemicals. Now that I learned about them, I think something different. I prefer to spend $15 million on a carbon filtration system, so I don't need any chemicals in the water. That's just how I feel personally. It's worth the money for Stocktonians, rather than to have that stuff in the water. Because a couple lawsuits will eat that $15 million up anyways, right? And people start to get rashes. So the chloramines are in the water in North Stockton. If you're in East or South Stockton, you're getting your water from the New Maloney's Dam, and so you're fine right now. So there's your water. Anyone have any other questions?
So you mentioned the rehabilitation of the fingers coming up.
Right.
Rehabilitation kind of starts, when they're there, right? What do you have any plans for rehabilitation programs once they're like in county that they continued outside? And do you have any partner businesses that are interested in going to get this started?
Yeah, I worked with a nonprofit called Hope. It's helping other people expand, and they'll take some of those folks and they set them up with mentors, and they actually get them a suit, which I think is really cool, because nothing makes someone feel better is when they clean up, they shower, they shave, they get that suit, and they help them get the job interviews. So they need once they get out of prison, they need more than just the speeches. We have something called ceasefire. You guys will hear about. So my opponent will go on and on about whatever the stock, the whatever you call it, the talking cards that the city people give him. He's going to go, we have Project Ceasefire, and Ceasefire takes offenders, and what they do is they put them in a room and they scare them. They put them in a room and they say, listen, you see this guy up here, Jorge Gonzalez, that was your partner. He's in Folsom right now. You got to, if you don't clean up, and if you screw up one more time, you're going to be going to Pelican Bay. And then they sort of threaten you. So there's a stick, right? There's a stick if you mess up. But they don't give them a carrot, like you're saying. So they're scared. They're told what's going to happen to them if they mess up, but they're never told if they go on the good path what can happen. And so they get a little bit of counseling from some nonprofit leaders, a couple, but that's why I like this group called Hope, because they'll give them a suit, they'll try to give them job interviews. But the truth is, what we find is most people, they won't give them the job. If you have a teardrop under your eye or you have a tattoo on your face or neck, they won't hire you. It's very, very rare. So what you're saying is correct. We need our peacekeepers, or we need our people, because we have a new city division people don't know about called Office of Violence Prevention. We need them to basically be caseworkers on the folks that get released. So if somebody's calling them, not just a probation officer, but saying, hey Elizabeth, I'm glad that it's been a year since the shoplifting incident, but just checking how's the job, how's the kids, can you afford daycare right now, how's everything going? Someone just kind of to be there for them in case they fall a little bit. That's what I believe in. You fall, you need a guardian angel to grab you and push you back up a little, because we all fall every once in a while. You need someone to push you back up, and that's what they're not getting. The same people are reoffending over and over and over. Some of these things are just like, they're just truths that people don't understand. Just like the crimes with guns, by the way. Nobody commits a crime with their own gun. They only commit it with guns they steal from other people, right? So that's another fact that we put out there. Does that kind of answer your question? He'll give you a number for Hope. And for the people watching at home or on wherever, you can always call me, 209-470-5851. You can text me. You can add me on Facebook, and you can come and you can help out. If you have some mean things to say about me, you can do that too. I'll take the call. But if you have suggestions, give me a call. But I think the city is much better than it was in 2012, and that's the fact. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, kind of like we said, the presidential election, your vote may not count, but your mayoral election, it does. Your city council election, it does. Your local state assembly and council people, it does. So definitely make sure you vote in November. And thank you very much, Anthony Silva, for coming down.
I'm showing you guys an example of something.